Hello, my name is John Hwee, and I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to talk to me about Nev's relationship. I've had a pretty long relationship with Nev for the last 4 years. I run IT here at Duraflame, and most people know us for our logs as well as our awesome charcoal products. I run the IT organization that includes all the business applications as well as the infrastructure. Before Nev, we've had a relationship with a couple of consulting companies that were really focused on hourly and not on accomplishments, but trying to figure out how long it's going to take to finish a product or project or an issue we had. And I was looking for a vendor who wanted to build a long-term relationship, not worry so much about what the cost was. And I was able to find a vendor like Nev who was more interested in building a relationship and focusing on the accomplishments versus worrying about the cost. Yeah, we went out to bid when I first came on board here about 4 years ago to find a new vendor, and we wanted to build a long-term relationship with a vendor that knew Oracle really well. We have multiple Oracle products, and we're looking at implementing a new Oracle product, and we bid it out, and Nev came out to be the most cost-effective for us. And from that relationship and that project, that successful project we had in a short period of time, I was able to prove to management that having Nev as a ongoing maintenance team is also looking then to implement different products as we need it would be, a great relationship. So I've known Nev and some of the founders many years ago when I worked with them in other organizations. We looked at a few companies out there. I looked at a handful of companies out there to look at ongoing support and patch management. And Nev seemed to be the most, what I would consider most, I think, rounded company with not only experience, but dedicated and technical engineers that fit the bill. They provided a cost-effective model of working offshore and also gave me an opportunity to work with people onshore. But my relationship was really focused around how I can build a team offshore. And that was really one of the main reasons we chose Nev, because the pricing structure, as well as their engineers who had a breadth of knowledge and a depth of knowledge, was really important to me. First, I want to say thank you to the Nev team for a successful implementation of a couple of projects we've had. So one of the main reasons we actually chose Nev was that they actually helped not only implement successful projects, but they had the technical skill set offshore that helped us get to our end goal efficiently and also help train our users. So I think the first benefit is that they have not only experienced engineers, but they also care about the implementation and work hand in hand with the users to make sure that not only do they understand what they're implementing, but also work with them to train them to make sure they're successful. We had a couple of projects where I can talk about their success. We had a project where we implement PBCS, and that was a great project to work with the users to show them, work with them to understand what their technical requirements were, their functional requirements, and make sure those all blended together to make sure that they met the business requirements. That was one successful project. Over the last couple of years, we've also had a couple other successful projects. We had a claims requirement where we're using spreadsheets to manage our claim systems, our claim accounting. Our AR department was using a spreadsheet to manage all their claims, which wasn't really manageable, and it didn't give management the ability to look at the holistic picture. And we spent hours looking at spreadsheets. Nev came in and helped us actually implement the claim system, and it provided a lot more visibility and a lot more efficiencies within our organization, and helped us kind of collect all of we had over a couple $1 million, actually about $10 million of overdue AR invoices that efficiently using Oracle, we were able to collect those within a 90-day period versus now with the paper and spreadsheet we were looking at things that are over 150 days. So that was a major financial savings and a major benefit to us being able to track, have visibility, and also brought on some best practices we didn't have. Yeah, I'll share a really good story with you guys on showing the commitment and the technical skill set that Nev team brings to the table. Like I said, we've always had a great partnership with Nev. Nev's never looked at solving a problem and worry about what time of the day it is. I'll tell you about a story a couple of weeks ago where we had an issue where our EDI process of extracting invoices stopped working. It was 8 o'clock at night for us, and offshore obviously was doing their day. We found the issue. We contacted Nev's technical team. They immediately looked at the issue, and within a couple hours, able to resolve the issue. And they didn't worry about what time of the day it was. It didn't worry about, do I have other things on the project? They knew this was a priority. They looked at the issue. They knew the urgency and the priority and the financial impact of the issue, and they actually solved it within a reasonable time. Within the next couple hours after I reported the issue was resolved. They got a workaround and they found a permanent fix. Just shows you the dedication and the professionalism and the commitment they have working with us, and the partnership. It continues to grow. Again, they're not worried about how long it takes to fix a problem. They're worried about what the end result is. Yeah, we've worked with Nev for, like I said, about 3 years. I think one of the things that has always worried me with the consulting team is not having really true 24/7 support. Most companies will say, well, we'll do what we can. But I've worked with Nev for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's been really phenomenal because when we have a P1 issue, there's no concern about what time of the day it is, if it's a weekend, if it's during their night. Once we open a P1 issue, they're right on top of it. And I think that's really shows the commitment and also the partnership we're at. I've worked with many consulting companies in my life. One of the things I really enjoy working with Nev is, again, not only their experience, but their professionalism and their dedication. All the engineers I've worked with are very well experienced and they're very dedicated. They're always focused on giving the user the right answer, and they're always double checking their work and ensuring that whatever answer or whatever issue there is, they're not only making sure they understand what the issue is with the users, they're actually working with the users to make sure that we're not only solving the immediate problem, finding the root cause, and also educating them. I think that's really important. And I think that's one of the reasons why our relationship has been so successful. We not only have a team offshore, but we have a dedicated team that's consistent, that has the same professionalism, same experience in answering all the questions and issues we've had. And I think one of the most things that I enjoy about that is that the consistency. I think it's really important that anytime you have a consulting team, that not only are they have the consistency in providing the same team, the same engineers, but they understand our environment. And because they understand our environment, it's been a great relationship. It's been very successful. Our users knew who they are. They're comfortable talking and they're comfortable working with them. And they also know, that the issue is going to be resolved and that they're going to get an honest and professional answer that's really well thought out. It isn't just, let's just do a quick answer and give them a workaround and be done with it. But they're always focusing on making sure they understand the root of the issue and solving these issues long term. We had an issue a couple of days ago where the controller reported a problem via email, and it wasn't really clear in the email what the issue was. So instead of just responding back and say, give me more example of the issue, they picked up the phone, they started a meeting with the user, and actually, within a couple of minutes, really understood what the issue was. And I think that's important to make sure there's always collaboration and also, working one-on-one with users, not always using Teams or using email as a way to communicate, but really to understand the users and get to know them better. I think they go an extra mile in making sure that they understand the issue, they work to resolve the issue, and that they're not, waiting around or understand the urgency. And this specific issue was because we had year-end a couple of weeks ago, and they knew the urgency of any issues that came in that were year-end related. So I want to thank them for their commitment and their dedication, and actually working with the users to understand and make sure it's clear on what the issue is and solving the issue as quickly as possible. I work with many consulting companies, offshore and onshore. The relationship and the contract I have with NEV teams been working with all people offshore. I've never been able to find a consistent company that gives me consistency, reliability, well experienced, and professional engineers. And one of the things I found really different about NEV is their ability to find and work with, keep engineers long term that are not only dedicated, but their consistency, their passion, their professionalism, and their experience. That's really kind of the most important things to me that separates NEV from the other vendors I've worked with, other consultant companies. Offshore teams are easy to build, they say, but it's really not. I think one of the things that NEV's done really well is that they've actually been able to bring well experienced engineers on and keep them long term, which helps the organizations they're supporting because there's a consistency, there's always the commitment that they bring with every engineer, which is something I really enjoy and something that really differentiates them. Again, it's their commitment, their professionalism, and also the long-term relationship they build. I don't have a turnover like I used to with some of the other vendors I've worked with. So thank you. If somebody walked off the street to me and said, hey, I'm looking for a consulting company that I can rely on, that's well experienced, do you have any recommendations to say, hey, you know what, NEV is one of those companies that have a great relationship with their employees? You can tell that because of the relationship that they extend out to us, and we've got a great partnership with them. And I think one of the things I would say is why. I say their commitment, their professionalism, and also their experience. All the engineers I've worked with at NEV, they're very well experienced. And when they don't know something, they've got a pool of engineers that they can ask. And that's wonderful, right? Because you never want to be in a position where you get stumped on something and the engineers you're working with have nowhere to go. So they've got a pool of experienced engineers that they can always pull from. And as I've had different needs, there's never a question of, does the contract, does our level of service require, is that within the boundaries, is that within the contracts? And one of the things that I think that's enjoyable always working with, that why I always do business with them and continue to do business is that I don't ever say, hey, can you do this, versus I know they can do something that where it was not in the initial commitment or contract. There's a lot of words I would describe NEV in one word, but I think the most important word is the passion that they have. Each one of the engineers are very passionate about helping the customer. They're never, at a position where, I don't think I understand, but hey, what's the issue? How can we help you? So they're very passionate and they're very well experienced. And I think that's really important that, anybody that can be experienced, but they don't have the passion to help and they don't understand what customer service is, it doesn't really matter how well experienced they are. So I think it's really passionate. NEV's engineering team is just very passionate about making sure their customers are happy. One of the things I want to say about NEV's team is that we've worked with NEV for over 3 years. In that 3-year time frame, we've never had any major issues. And anytime there's a major issue, I have a team of people offshore that are always available and willing to solve my problems, making sure that I'm sleeping well at night, not worrying about any issues that may come up. I think that's really important when we have a relationship with the offshore team. It's not to worry, will the issue be solved while I'm sleeping or during the day when I know that they may be sleeping. They've been really phenomenal about making sure if it's a P1 issue that it's worked around the clock. I don't have a 24/7 team, so that was one of the more important pieces of the relationship, knowing that if I have a P1 issue, that I have a team that can support it 24/7. And NEV's done a phenomenal job of making sure that if there is a P1 issue, they find resources to make sure they're working around the clock. My contract is based on only offshore, but they augment it with onshore as I need. And I think that's really a partnership that I've never found with any other vendor, where they're not worried about what the cost is versus making sure that the customers never worried about if they're paying for a contract or they have to worry about, hey, this month I had a bunch of tickets that went over our contracted commitment. Will I have to pay more? I think that's really important that when I have this relationship with Nev, that it's a consistency in cost. If the issue takes more hours to solve than what the contract is, they're not worried about that. They weren't worried about, am I happy? Is my management team happy? And are there any issues that are causing the business not to function? Are there financial impacts that we are solving, and making sure those financial impacts are never seen by management, so that Nev is never seen as a problem. So I think Nev's been an unsung heroes, and that's to me the best relationship, is having a team that are unsung heroes, because when they're unsung heroes, that means we've done our job. So thank you. I want to thank Nev's dedicated team, their relationship and their professionalism for the last 3 years. Thank you. And what a great relationship. And I look forward to many years working with Nev.